Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sports Hub Central. I'm your host, Chad M.
And I am M Nerland, and we are back with some NFL news breaking. We have the Seahawks, who have been possibly suspended
Two
for
players.
PEDs. Yes, we have Browner and we have Sherman. Sherman has a little bit of an excuse, though. He said, which he's now denying, that he drank some of his teammates' water bottle that had Adderall that had been crushed in it, and that is why he unknowingly is now testing positive for Adderall.
Unknowingly?
Now,
Well,
yes.
I'll say they're unknowingly.
Yes. Well, the question then is it okay for someone to be prescribed a banned substance in the NFL? If it's banned, should it just be banned for everybody? Or is it okay for his teammate to take it, even though he can't take it because he doesn't have
No, it
the
shouldn't
doctor's
be,
script?
because all it does is creates too much confusion, Emily. The bottom line is this: either the substance is banned or it is not. If it's banned, I don't care what excuse you have and what doctor's note you have to take it, it should not be allowed, because then that means that someone could have a competitive advantage. Now, personally, I don't really care if everybody uses steroids. I think it should all be permitted so they can provide us with maximum entertainment. But if you're trying to use and trying to have the concept that everybody's on the same level playing field, then there should be no exceptions for anybody.
But the thing is, they're not on the same playing field, because someone that actually is ADD, someone that actually does need this drug, is no longer on the same playing field.
Well, why do they
as
need
these
this
other
drug?
athletes.
They're playing football. They're not in a class studying for an exam.
Well, they have to know what they're doing. These guys aren't just mindlessly running routes. They have to know where they're going. What if they can't pay attention? Do you think Cutler would take very well to trying to, what if he was trying to break in the huddle and he goes off and talks about something else? There's certain reasons that some people are prescribed this and some people do need it, and just because other players in the NFL are abusing a drug, that doesn't mean that other players should be denied the right to something that helps the chemical imbalance in their head.
Okay, yes, I don't dispute that people have those issues, but at the end of the day, it makes things way too complicated for the NFL to start gauging the levels of how severe one person is versus somebody else.
It's not their job. It's the doctor's job to do that, to prescribe it to someone.
But either way, you just don't know. People bullshit it sometimes just because they know that it's going to help them play better on the field, and they'll pretend to be worse off than they really are just to get it.
But then
so
it's
just
on the
eliminate it altogether. Eliminate it altogether. The bottom line here is I think that these are a couple of cheaters. It comes as no shock to me. Seattle has not been a great defense the last 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden now they have the best pass defense in the league.
Because of Adderall?
And furthermore, you look at their head coach. This guy is a fraud.
Whoa, lay off.
Look at what he did at USC.
Right now.
Look at what he did at USC. He runs after cheating.
Rude.
And now he is running a defense here that is cheating once again to have the success they have. They deserve a punishment. Get them out of there.
Well, we're going to do away with that topic, and there's something else that should be done away with, which is a rule that popped some controversy on Turkey Day. Would you like to explain what had gone down?
Well, pretty much Justin Forsett was down, and the entire Detroit defense decided to stop on the play, believing that was the case. He didn't hear a whistle, and he continued to run all the way into the end zone for an 80-yard score. Yeah, you can't blame Forsett. And after the play, Schwartz decides to get a little bit worked up, wanting to challenge it, throws out his flag. Oh, too bad. The touchdown.
He threw it before he even got in to the end zone.
Yeah, everybody, you could see he was down, right? So the bottom line here is the referee, Ron Winters, comes out after and says that the play will not be reviewed because of the fact that it was challenged when every scoring play automatically gets reviewed, and therefore the touchdown stands. And that's the NFL rule, that you cannot challenge a play that automatically gets reviewed, which is
a rule that has been called on the other side of Schwartz playing on the field last year, so he already knows it, so it's on him anyway. But the real question is, now Goodell has come out and said that he's considering revising this rule, and he actually has the power himself to change it. Now, is it wrong of him to change it on the spot? Is this something that should just be changed like they do in the NHL? Should he wait until playoffs so everybody has the same rules for the rest of the regular season? It can change the playoffs? Or does it have to wait till the end of the year and be revised come next season?
It's a great question. I mean, you could really go both ways with it and make a good, strong case, but I do believe that it would make most sense to do it in the off-season. It's very difficult to make the best decision for the league moving forward in short notice. Let them use all the off-season to ensure that it's done properly. And furthermore, it's not really fair in the sense that a rule that was in place for part of the year benefited one team, but now it isn't there for the rest of the year. The rules should remain consistent throughout the year, even though, and that's just one of them that makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, but you got to keep it a level playing field until the entire season is over with.
What's interesting to me is that it seems to be an issue now when it's been called already this year, I think once or twice. It's called at least twice last year. And then all of a sudden it's a hoopla because it gets down and it ends up to be a decision-breaking game. So it's kind of like the replacement referees. My point is that in the NHL, whenever something comes up, they deal with it right away. I'm not trying to say the NHL is the standard measure stick for anybody.
Well, that's exactly the opposite. They are at the bottom of the totem pole with logistically running the league.
They do fix things when something's wrong. You fix it. You don't wait for New Year's to make your New Year's resolutions, right? If you think you're fat, you go work out.
Well,
go
if you hold on a second, Emily. Have you ever been to a gym on January 2nd versus December 23rd?
Exactly, and it's a flawed logic because have you ever been to a gym in March, April, June as it goes on? And people
have you noticed I go to the gym every day of the week?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is you have to make a change when it needs to be made. Not when you're like, okay, well,
I hear what you're saying. Why let it continue to drag on if the problem's already been addressed?
It's already happened.
But it's more
so why does it have to get to a point all the time with the NFL that it makes a decision making? A game can be won or lost on it. Then they're like, oh, well, I guess we actually have to confront this now. They need to change the way they process rules and nip it in the butt before it becomes a problem like that.
Okay, yeah, but I just believe that it's better to wait until the end of the year so they have the maximum amount of time to come up with the right rule. Because on a whim like that, they could revise things and then it still isn't good enough, and then they're forced to re-look at it later on. So I think that they should wait to the offseason. If they've handled it for this long and nothing that terrible has happened so far, what's another couple of weeks of the regular season and the playoffs?
Spoken like a non-Lions fan.
Okay. Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Sports Hub Central, but as you guys know, football is still in full effect right now. I know everybody thoroughly enjoys watching it, and while you're doing that, you obviously want to have your entertainment value absolutely maximized, and there's no better way to do that than actually wagering on these games. So you should check out the link below on this video here at BetHubb.com. For those of you that have an account already, fantastic. And everybody else, I strongly suggest you get on board right now. Go to the website, sign up for your account, make sure to cash in on all the weekly bonuses we have going on, including our new pools that we have started. Emily, weren't you close to perfect week last week?
I was perfect the last 2 weeks.
The last 2 weeks. So she won some money from that, and that's a great added bonus we have going on. So make sure, guys, to check it out, and make sure to be back here next week for our next edition of Sports Hub Central.